human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane, and it's the Power of 8 at 8, almost 8 Central Time this week. How are you doing tonight, Eileen?
I'm doing great, Shane. Thank you very much. Yes, we tell everybody why we decided to start later. It'll be a free promo for our friend David.
Yep. Whoops. David Wilcock is live. He started late, and we've been kind of going on right after he, let me put it on both of us, right after he gets off of the air, but he's running late. He's forcing us to run late because he's got like 10,000 people watching. And so, yeah, just a common courtesy.
Yeah, we just thought we'd wait and let him wrap up. But there were people already in the chat talking, so it wasn't fair to them. So we thought we'd join you guys.
That's right. Yeah, since we usually just hang out for a while and discuss different things anyway. And we were both talking that, you know, if we, just from an unbiased point of view, we would probably come here for the live show and go watch them later, which we're going to do anyway because we have to, because we're putting the show on or whatever. But we like the intimate setting, and, you know, when you're on with 10,000 people, the chat's moving so fast that you can't get a word in edgewise.
It's impossible to chat or read. I can't even read what people have said if it moves that fast. Although you used to put slow chat on, so it slows it down a little bit.
Yeah, I put slow chat on, and, you know, but even with 10,000 people, you know, if everybody just says something every 3 seconds, it's still
going to fly. Well, you know, I'm just going to say on a technical issue, I'm still seeing just you on my screen and myself as an icon of a beautiful rainbow. And that's never happened before during our live stream. So I wonder if people in the chat can say what they can see. Do they see me?
They see what I see, so they see you. Yeah,
okay.
They definitely see you. A lot of people will use Hangouts to broadcast, but I actually use OBS to broadcast, and I just show my screen. That's why you'll notice how you're cut off a lot. You're like, well, it's not showing what I was seeing. That's because I've got an art graphic with squares cut in it that I place over my camera and your camera, which are actually separate elements in there.
Yeah, I've noticed those. The really pretty earth.
Yeah,
right?
With the geometric patterns.
The purples and the pinks.
Yeah. And I just did that with the Flower of Life and the Fibonacci. That's actually a Fibonacci spiral that I just put a bunch of them together. And
that is super cool. So, yeah, I never see those anyway. But usually I see both of us. But this time I see a rainbow.
Yeah, you're here. Definitely.
Cool.
Okay, so let me... Oh, is this that late? Looks like we just went through.
What's that?
I'm trying to see. It looks like we got knocked off, but it could be my computer acting up here.
Oh, ask the chat. See if they say they can still see us.
Chat, can you still see us here?
Are we with you? Houston, do we have a problem?
Have we had a problem?
Have we had a problem? That flipped back, didn't it? I think that's back to normal now.
That was my first flip-flop. You know, people were talking about...
Oh, mine was Tidy Cats because of that guy, Jacob. You know, Jacob's Ladder or Jacob Israel.
Jacob Israel, yeah.
So yours was Houston, we have a problem, which went to what? Houston, we had a problem?
We've had a problem. That's what it was when we, and that's how I know it was a flip-flop, because I sat there thinking about it for a long time, and it wasn't 100% for me. I'm like, I think it was Houston, we have a problem, but I just, you know, I'm careful to say I'm 100% sure about something, because I think it's important that we're like really honest with ourselves about stuff, especially when you're talking about the Mandela effect. So I considered it for a long time, and it was sort of like the jury was out, you know. But
you're sitting on the fence going,
exactly.
I kind of remember it differently, but I'm not going to say for sure.
Then somebody said it changed back, and when I heard Houston, we have a problem, I was like, okay, I know it switched back now.
Yeah.
So I got to experience the flip-flop. I wasn't sure when it changed the first time, because that's when I first heard about it. But when it switched back to the original, I knew 100% because I sat there pondering it for a while and decided that I just couldn't be sure about it. But
that's how I was with the Flintstones. I was like, God, I watched that show every day after school as a kid, like at 3 o'clock. Was it Flintstones or was it Flintstones, as they're saying it is now? You look everywhere and everything official said Flintstones. And then somebody said, like, you know, Moneybags or Scott Harrison, somebody said, hey guys, Flintstones is back. The T is back. And then I went back and looked and it was back. And I was like, aha, I caught you.
Then you knew for sure.
Then I knew for sure.
Yeah. I love the flip-flops because of that, because, you know, it forces you to take the time to consider it. And most of the time when we're honest with ourselves, we still won't be sure of it. We'll be like, I don't know. And then when it switches.
How about when you remember it both ways? Like we discussed with Cynthia Sue Larson last week, where you're like, sure, it's changed and your memory's right. And then you're like, no, I kind of remember both versions now. And then you're stuck in that middle ground, never being sure until it picks one, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's funny that you said that, because a lot of the changes with songs, I will think that, you know, it'll be presented. I'm like, well, I thought maybe I remembered it both ways, but I thought maybe like first time around in the chorus, they sing it one way, and then, you know, they'll change things up.
Yep.
So that's like the Doors one was one like that. I'm like, well, both ways sound familiar. I can't even think of the song now. I can't think of what
Michael Jackson's too.
Yeah.
Smooth Criminal. I'm like, well, maybe he changed it up in the middle of the song.
Right.
Right. And then
exactly.
The one that you did on one of your shows, one of your many Mandela Effect videos, was California Dreaming. So I went back to it recently, the original version. Mm-hmm. And if I did the Yanni Laurel thing, if I said in my head, began to pray, then listened, that's what I heard on that scratchy old record of the original recording. And then if I stopped it and rewound the video and said in my mind, pretend to play, and hit play, that's what I heard in the scratchy old recording. I could actually make my mind flip and flop.
So you saw the Moneybags video where he was showing that, right? Yeah. Where he had a series of things, and then he played it one way, and they had the what was it, the
was that Sesame when he did the Lori and the Yanni, or when he did all the different songs? Because he did
the Sesame Street one first.
Yes, yes.
And I was like, oh my God, that is so funny when you
the one where he swears, the one where Grover swears. He definitely swears. I definitely heard the F word.
Yeah, and it's like whatever you're reading on the screen, you hear it perfectly. He put that together really well. So you know, I
wish maybe if we can find a link to it, we should drop it in there.
Yeah, kudos to Moneyback. That was probably a month ago that he put that out.
Yeah, or longer. It's been a while.
It's got the if you just scan through his pages, it's got in the thumbnail, it has the Sesame Street characters in it. It wouldn't be hard to find. So
no, it wouldn't be hard to scroll down.
It was probably less than a dozen videos back, I would say, because he doesn't put out a lot all the time.
That's like his only Sesame Street video that I know of.
Yeah. So that was
I'm
the
getting
one.
that Laurel Yanni effect in my own mind. And what is it? Brainstorm and Green Needle. Remember that video? That's the one that I could make change. During the Laurel and Yanni videos, if nobody knows what we're talking about, just search Laurel Yanni on YouTube and you'll get to hear what we're talking about. I couldn't make my brain switch, but I always heard Yanni. And you heard...
Yeri. Sort of an in-between of the two.
Yeah, you did. And then I heard an expert tear the video apart slowly. And they said, actually, what they're saying is Yeri or Gary. But when they speed it up, it sounds like Yanni. So how they got Laurel, I have no idea, because they don't even sound related to each other. That one, I couldn't control what I heard. I always heard Yanni. But in the Brainstorm Green Needle, my daughter came up to me and said, Mom, think brainstorm. Just say it over. I'm going brainstorm, brainstorm, brainstorm. She plays it for me, and I hear brainstorm. And she's like, stops it and goes, okay, now in your head, say over and over and over, Green Needle. I'm like, Green Needle, Green Needle, Green Needle. She plays it back, the exact same recording, and I heard Green Needle. So that one...
And it almost seems like you're not listening to this. You're like, that wasn't the same recording, was it? I'm like, no, that was the same exact recording. And you're like, no way.
So if thinking of our show last week, which was like, I was saying to Shane tonight, we'll never be able to top that show. That is like the penultimate show we've ever done with Cynthia Sue Larson. And she said she's coming back. We've got witnesses, right? Give her a couple months and we'll go and ask her to come back. But
She's awesome. Yeah.
it touches on what she talked about last week in the quantum field, that we're picking what we want to hear. Just like Lynne McTaggart today on the Power of Eight masterclass for 2019. Can you see her book okay?
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about it's really important what you feel when you're intending, when you're making an intention, a prayer, a manifestation, when you're asking for something. It's important that you come from a good feeling place. So we were doing like experiments about feeling angry, feeling upset. And she would very easily just pick a topic that was a hot topic that polarizes people to one side or the other. And what happened was we realized as we're listening to other people who have the opposite opinion of us, at some point we stop listening to them and we start to get tense and angry and rehearsing in our mind what we're going to say in response to make them think or believe what we believe.
Exactly.
So at some point you just stop listening to people who have the opposing opinion. And if you get rid of those emotions, the negative emotions of anger or disappointment or whatever that response is when we don't agree with somebody, and continue to listen to them from your heart, you can actually discuss a hot topic without getting heated,
That's so funny because that was the whole premise with this before the Mandela effect kind of took over the direction of this channel. That was my main thing, is I realized that if you actually tried to believe like someone else, even just for a moment, played a little game with yourself and said, how can I believe like this person? What kind of conditions must I create in my brain to believe like this person believes? And then you think of people like, if you think of like extremists and religion because every religion has sort of their extreme version of it, And if you can imagine being brought up in this culture, always being taught these things and all this, can you imagine ever doing what these people that you can't imagine ever doing right now would do, And when you play that sort of game, then you realize, I could do those things. If I had went through everything that person went through, was raised the way that person, and was like, from the time I was 2 years old, was constantly fed this information.
Right.
You would be indoctrinated and you would do a lot of the same things that these people that right now, even if you think of the elite, I showed that clip of that little boy talking about the rituals and stuff a long time ago. And you're like, oh my gosh, he's like 7 years old and he's been exposed to this stuff. But then you can imagine if these adults that we frown on and we think of them as monsters to society.
We're raised the same way.
We're raised just like this little 7-year-old cute little kid that's saying all these things, and that's just how, it wouldn't be any different than, cultures that you look at what they eat and you're like, that's gross. You're like, but they've always ate that, so it's not gross.
So it's not gross to them.
Right.
So really what you're talking about now is programming. You're talking about the programming that our minds receive from birth that form our opinions for us. We claim a lot of these opinions belong to us, but if you stop and think about an opinion that you have one at a time and then think, well, where did that come from? Did that come from personal experience? Did I know somebody who experienced that? No, it was a news report 10 years ago. No, it was in a book in school. No, it was my neighbor who said it. And then you suddenly start to realize that a lot of your beliefs are not your own. You didn't get them from personal experience. Right.
That's what I love so much about Jim Self, because he really gets into that whole thing of like, you start off at birth with this big bag and people are just constantly throwing stuff in it.
Right.
Yeah. A clean slate.
Clean slate.
And
little baby. Innocent.
And I really think that's what Jesus was really referring to when he says, become like little children. It's like, get rid of all this baggage people have thrown onto you, all these beliefs and things, and just get back to this clean slate.
Yeah.
And, because it clutters your brain up.
It does. And maybe that's one of the things we could learn how to do. I haven't seen a course on it yet, but we can do it ourselves. We don't need a course. And that's examine our most important beliefs and see if they truly belong to us or if they were inserted into us by someone or something.
Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times they're just handed down generation after generation. Yeah. And we,
especially racial discriminations, those are handed down. If you get a room full of babies And a room full of toddlers, you know, who don't speak yet, all they see are other babies. Now they might, like, you know, plow over them and hit them on the head to get a truck out of their hands, but that has nothing to do with race. That's more of the me, 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 me. They haven't yet learned that there's something outside of them. Oh, yeah. So they just respond to their own needs.
Yeah.
I see a truck, you're holding it, I want it, I'm going to grab it.
Yeah. And children will typically, if a child was brought up in a certain culture around a single race and they encounter another race without that indoctrination or without those prejudices of the parent, the child will look at that other child with awe, like, wow, I've never seen this type of a person. It's not like a prejudice thing. It's like a neat thing. This is neat. I want to go talk to them. And there's a sense of awe about meeting this other person that's like me but looks different. And, you know, and it's more of a pure
I've actually seen that happen in person because, you know, we have an interracial family here, and so do you. And I grew up in Trinidad. And we brought one of our family 2-year-olds to Trinidad for a Christmas. And in the airport, that 2-year-old couldn't keep his mouth shut. He was like, and it's because he was taken out of a predominantly white neighborhood where maybe he had seen people of color occasionally into the Trinidadian airport where everybody was of a color, either an Indian or an African. And there were a few white people wandering around, but the awe in that baby's face was totally innocent, but like, wow, did I go to a different planet?
Right. Yeah. And that's beautiful.
And when I went to China in 1985, right after it opened up to the West, because they really didn't like Westerners visiting in case we poisoned people's minds, right? Here, drink Coca-Cola, wear Levi's jeans, and watch dirty movies. So we were assigned a communist guide who picked us up in the morning and tucked us in at night. We were never allowed to go anywhere in 1985 on our own. And when we went into some of the outskirts of Beijing, into the markets, the people would just stop and stare at us, and they would turn and look at us. And then some people would be like, you know, almost wanting to touch us to see if we were real, because we were the only Westerners in the market. And maybe they'd never seen a Westerner in person. Maybe they'd never seen them on TV, because you know how limited and oppressive that regime used to be, you know, where they couldn't even watch TV or read newspapers. So I don't know, but I was the tourist attraction. I remember that. I was like 25 years old.
Yeah, but you typically get the awe thing like you're talking about. And if you do run into hostilities, it's either the prejudice programming of the parents, or somebody told them that, or out of fear, they're like, hey, they're different. Are they dangerous? You know what I mean? And
it takes a while to develop the fear. The toddlers are still like not afraid of anything. And then when they learn their fear. You know, the parents work hard to teach the fear of don't cross the street, don't touch the fire. You know, we spend the whole time going, don't, you know, exactly. So, you know, this innocent animal is going, why not? It's interesting. I just want to see what it feels like, you know?
Yeah.
But I should welcome tonight a whole bunch of new people will be joining us from Lynne McTaggart's The Power of 8 at 8. Well, no, we're The Power of 8 at 8. Lynne McTaggart's The Power of 8 and her masterclass. I was lucky enough to share with her and share with the whole class. I think we had like 600 today. She's got 1,000 people signed up into a Zoom room, and it's working pretty good. You know, I brought the technical issues today by turning my phone on so I could hear it, because I couldn't hear it out of my computer, and turning it on my screen so I could see it.
And your mic was on, huh?
Yes. When she went to me, it was like, wow, 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 wow. I gave them all this feedback. It was a bit of a shock, but never mind.
Well, when you put it in grid mode, is that pretty crazy looking with that many?
You got 10, 20, 30, 40, about 40 people on the screen, about an inch by an inch by an inch by an inch. That would be an inch square, but I forgot that word. And then you scroll down forever, and the grid just keeps going and going and going and going. I've never gotten to the end.
That'd be cool if it would keep shrinking down. You'd see this mosaic.
Oh, that would be awesome if we could see all 600 people on the screen.
Yeah,
so, you know,
really
if we ever do that with our show, we ever get that big, maybe we can play around with that. Wouldn't that be cool to put everybody from the chat up on the screen, and everybody could wave, and we'd be in a giant Zoom room?
Yeah, that would be neat. That'd be cool. And
Because you get this opportunity to hit the chat, so you can watch the chat while you're watching the video, and you'd be in control like you are now. And you get the opportunity to unmute people so they can talk.
that's very cool.
That's very cool.
Now I have the power.
Yes, you've always had the power.
But yeah, I recently had that a meeting on Zoom. It was my first experience with Zoom. With I think there was 15 hosts from the radio station.
Oh, right.
Different people that have their different shows, and
Yeah.
it was a Oneness Talk Radio meeting. So that was my first experience with that many Zoom people. So
Did you feel like hesitant, like you don't want to interrupt people? Because like when we get a bunch of people in Hangouts, you feel like you're stepping on people. You have to be very careful when you start to talk, right?
Oh, I immediately muted mine, and if I had a comment, I would say it in the chat. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I'm really introverted when it comes to stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to, step in. Plus, I was the new kid on the block too.
Yeah, so you wanted to listen. You're gauging the personalities, and so is there anything interesting coming of that yet, or is that too soon?
Oh, it's really cool. In fact, I was supposed to simulcast this Friday, but we had problems connecting up. But I got the audio set up with the Oneness Talk Radio information in there, so it's going to be really cool to be syndicated on Oneness Talk Radio from the Love Stream for 3 hours. And really all I have to do is I've got 2 hard breaks that's going to be at the top of the hour, in between the first and second and then second and third hours.
Awesome. So is that going to be every week? You're going to simulcast the Love Stream on what's it called?
Oneness Talk Radio.
Yeah, Oneness Talk Radio. Because they're on their own now. Do they have SMQ AI? Is that where he does his lizard show?
No, he might be on. Is he on TFR?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think they simulcast on TFR and Oneness Talk Radio. So
oh my gosh, so there's 2 platforms now?
Yeah.
And is TRF still tied to iHeartRadio, the normal big guys, or are they all off on their own?
Yeah, they're
now?
iHeart. I think they're still under iHeartRadio.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think Shri and Kira, along with Alan and Sandra, who are the Twin Flame Divine Fire Radio, both have...
and our friends, Gail and Gregory Hull.
Yeah, Gail and Gregory are on Oneness. I don't know if they're on TFR, though, are they?
No, they're on Oneness.
Okay, yeah, I did see their host page, and Gregory was in the meeting, too.
Awesome.
So.
Oh, yay. Some of our favorite people.
And Masha, I think she's from Russia or something, but Jamie sent me some of her videos before. I don't know if you...
No, I just did the OSHA. The OSHA, am I saying it right? OSHA? No, what's her name? She does the Cosmic Agency. I've watched her videos. Gosha.
Yeah, now she just did a really cool video about karma. Did you see the newest one that just came out?
Not yet. I've been out of the loop for a couple of days now working, so I haven't seen any videos for a while.
I completely resonated with the whole idea of, you can play along with the karma thing if you want, but you don't have to. It's kind of like, she was explaining it like, karma is the monopoly money of the matrix, right? So once you're out of the matrix, you're in more of the 5D state of mind. You can just let go of all that karma stuff.
Because it takes 2 to tango. The karma is a cause and an effect. And you're one of those at all times. And if you step out of it, it can't cause karma on its own. It can't cause a cause and it can't be an effect. If you step out, and the easiest way to step out is through, we've already done it, love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Love your enemies. Who said that? Right?
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. And the other thing is, when you come up to a group of people and they're playing Monopoly and they're like, hey, do you want to come and play? You're like, no, that's all right. I'll just watch. You can sort of have this observer point of view with all of this stuff too. So in the same way that you don't join in with the...
Now you're being Buddha and you're saying, I just observe. Everything is good. Carry on.
Right. So that's how I was like when we had Sherry and I had on the guy with the doll or whatever. And
yeah, I did see that. That was fun and scary.
Well, he was, and from his point of view, he was totally right. But I feel like he created that, So I feel like it existed, but it was his own creation.
Well, when you get to A Course in Miracles, and I know you and I have discussed this before, You said, Eileen, you're just seeing it from a different position, a different point of view. You get to the point of oneness with all, with everything. So when you see a negative entity attachment that somebody describes, it's actually emanating from them. It's coming from their fears. It's coming from their expectations, you know, and you look above and go, oh, why are you creating those negative entities to attach to yourself?
Right.
And they're like, no, it's not, because they're looking from here and they're seeing them out there and going, I'm not creating that. But you see how these things are created through our beliefs and our feelings.
Yeah, and you don't have to take part in it. So I wasn't worried about Hubert. What's the doll's name? I can't even remember the doll's name now.
I can't either.
Started with an H, but
Hubert? Was it Hubert?
no, I'm jacking it up.
That was makes me think of Hubert Humphrey. I think that was like a politician when I was like 6 years old.
Whatever the doll's name was, you know, I knew it wasn't going to put a hex on me, or you know, it was like I was immune to anything the doll had. Because,
Like Case says, our friend Case, Everyday Masters, he says, when you get to the point where you love everybody, nothing can touch you. You're impervious to anything, which Lynne McTaggart, for anybody who hasn't read this book yet, we follow her parameters on this show for our group intentions. And, you know, she says basically the same thing, that instead of creating the bubble of protection around yourself, just imagine doing something you love or being with somebody that you love.
Sorry, overprotected in caps, but Harold.
Oh, Harold, Sherry, thank you. That's an H word too.
Yeah, I knew it started with an H.
Another politician, wrong country though.
Sorry, Sherry. I messed the doll's name up. And Sherry's probably like, you better watch out. You can't mess his name up. He's going to give you a headache.
I can see Sherry now.
Just play it.
Blessing you. Blessing your screen, right, Sherry? But no, Lynn talks about that too. She says, you don't have to put up psychic protection, which I learned a long time ago, you know, that you did have to do. You just have to imagine the beauty of the world. Imagine doing something you love or being with someone you love. And then those feelings from your heart extend, heart maths will say 100, if not thousands of feet around you. That gives you all the protection you'll ever need. Instantly protected.
You know what? I forgot to get that video ready. I'm going to do that while you're talking here. Because.
Do you want me to talk some more?
Or wait a minute. That is the 53-minute version of it. Yeah, you can talk and explain this video we're going to.
Well, if I do, you'll have to say, I'm playing the video now, because we're on a time delay and I was trained to fill dead air. So I'll just keep talking until I hear somebody else talk. Sometimes you just have to jump in and I don't hear the video going. So you have to say, Eileen,
I got your back.
Got my back.
Definitely.
And nobody would do it nicer than you. So which video is it? Is it the one on the primer fields?
Oh, wait a minute, actually. Oh, actually, I do have it set up.
That's
My
like
bad.
2 videos. Yeah, I was being kind of sneaky.
So, let's explain the one that you created a video for those that like to join in every week, but if you wanted to do the power up and you wanted like a... Yeah, can you explain that?
I sure can. And you don't have to play that because it's 4 minutes or 7 minutes long. It's short, but it'll just be waiting for everybody in a link. Some people want to do the intending all by themselves on their own intentions and may not feel comfortable powering themselves up. They might feel like, let's see, did I think of it right? Did I get the steps right? And really, it's creative. You could do anything you want to power yourself up. There are no hard and fast rules. For a group, the rules might be from Lynn's book, that you breathe together to relax and that you focus on the heart in order to go into heart cohesion and entrainment, like the Heart Maths Institute guys. That's where that came from for decades. And that you might imagine a beautiful place so that you're relaxed and safe. And then the group can start intending. But for those who don't feel comfortable powering themselves up in their mind, I created this really short video with the exact steps that we use here on this show every week before we do our live group intentions. So you can just play that video and it'll just go quiet. It'll say start intending now. And then you can just start intending and visualizing, asking for, commanding, whatever it is in that moment that you wanted to focus on.
Exactly.
And
And that's
Lynn's,
beautiful because some people like the guided thing because otherwise your mind will wander sometimes. And I've been there before too. You know, you set out to do one thing, and then before you realize you're like, I'm thinking about something completely different. You know,
yeah,
and
dinner. I'm thinking about what am I cooking for dinner? Oh yeah, I'm
right.
meditating. Or it's like this, right? Meditating.
Totally.
Gone.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll do that after about 20 minutes. I get so dizzy, and I'm like, why am I getting so dizzy? It's like you get into
You
this
go
really
far.
low.
You tend to astral travel while you're meditating. So
Yeah.
sometimes when you come back, you're like, oh my God, I feel dizzy. I can't
Yeah.
see, you know?
Yeah. And it's a lot of times it just leads to me taking a nap. I'm like, I just got to go lay down. I'm too dizzy. And if
Oh,
it's
that's
late at
wonderful.
night, I get nauseous.
No, I was
Yeah.
going to say the nap thing is wonderful because that's called integration. So you've meditated, you've opened up your consciousness, right? But
Hmm.
not your body. You're still safe and protected in here. You've downloaded information or you've uploaded information to the universe of what you'd like to come back to you.
Right.
And then you've gone into the sleep mode where all things are possible in dreams. So
Right.
that's almost an integration of the meditation. Wouldn't you then wake up like all fit and happy and energized?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I do that. I meditate. Well, first when I wake up and I'm in that state where I know I'm asleep and I know I'm awake, and I'll probably wake up in the middle of a dream and do some lucid dreaming right as I start to realize this is a dream. Okay, should I direct it as a director or should I follow it and just see where it leads me? You know, now I'm getting lazy and I just go, okay, let's just go along for the ride and see what happens. But I know I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
And then I start to come more to, and the dream has gone far, far away. And that's when I start my gratitude. A lot of people practice this. Cynthia mentioned it. Lynn mentioned it. Wayne Dyer
Hmm.
mentioned it. It's like the first thoughts of the day before you open your eyes. It's just what you love and you're grateful for. It's like, thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
You know, it could be people or anything you like. You can make it different every day. Then open your eyes and start your day. And you've started your day in a completely different matrix than
It's like getting up on the right side of the bed.
yeah, it's getting
Yeah.
up on the right side of the bed
Yeah.
and putting your foot into the nice matrix where you're already feeling good.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too. And then the last thing I do before I go to bed is meditate. And I have a couple of CDs and a CD player next to my bed, the old-fashioned dinosaur way that shuts off. So I don't have to listen to it all night because your brain needs silence. Your mind needs silence and darkness so that it's not listening to 8 hours of meditation. Or I'll take my phone, put it far away from my head, right? And I'll play a playlist of meditations that I know will end in 2 hours so my mind can be quiet.
Mm.
Because the worst thing you could do is put on meditations on YouTube, autoplay. They're going to play from the time you go to sleep until the time you wake up in the morning, and you're going to feel exhausted because you'll be like, I don't feel like I got any sleep last night. And the worst part is all those advertisements are going to be coming at you when you're the most vulnerable, when you're asleep, and your subconscious mind is completely open to the advertising messages, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So be careful playing YouTube unless you create a playlist that you know has a beginning and an end.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I've mentioned before that I used to put headphones on and sleep to action adventure music.
Oh my God, that's so cool. But the dreams that you would have, you know?
Oh, I wake up heart pounding and sweaty and running. You know, I enjoyed it. To me, it was fun. It was dangerous while I was asleep, but
Yeah, but God knows what you're getting up to in your dreamscape. Listening to that music, you could have been climbing mountains and fighting dragons, you know?
yeah. And,
Kinda
you know,
cool.
I would have the most vivid dreams. Like I'd dream that I'd be working at this place and this train would come through the end of the building and be running into these I-beams. They'd be tumbling at me and I'd be running, you know, the music's just going. And I wake up like, oh my gosh, I'm like, okay, I'm just dreaming. Let me go back to sleep. And then I continue it. And so, yeah, until my wife was like, you're not getting good rest doing that all night.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
wake up
okay.
and you need to sleep, right? You need some more sleep.
But
And
it was
light,
fun.
it's like getting rid of the light so that your melatonin can kick in from your pineal gland and kind of uncrust the pineal gland that gets crusted from stress and chlorine and fluoride and all that stuff. And some people sleep with those things on. What are they called? Those little face masks.
Yeah, like eye shades or whatever. Yeah.
And a lot of people sleep to the TV being on, and you just don't want to be hearing and getting
Programming.
Yeah, you don't want that programming, and you don't want the light flickering on your eyelids all night long. It'll make you feel more tired.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, what should we do tonight? Do you feel like we have time to play that video on the toroidal field? Because I have a special meditation that goes with it. Or do you want to save that for next week?
No, we have time, and I did want to tell people the guided powering up is in the link below called Powering Up. Just add your intention after. So if you would like to use that and you think it'd be helpful, that link is below.
There's no ads on it. It's free, so that you won't be going into an intention and hearing an advertisement.
Okay, and then there's a full video to the one we're going to play an excerpt from.
Yes.
And it's called The Primer Fields Part 1.
So this is fascinating. I didn't give you the link to my video. I gave you the link to his video.
Mm-hmm.
I did a video this week, 20 minutes long, on this primer fields video. And tonight we're just going to play a little excerpt. It's common copyright, so everybody can use it and excerpt it. That's allowed. And then I want to talk to you about the little investigation I did on this man who's named David Lapointe. And he put this video out like 6 years ago. So we're talking, what, 2012? Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry, I forgot I muted my mic to cough. Okay, so I will start the video now. Let me make sure the volume's up. It's 12 minutes, 47 seconds. And like I said, this is the shorter version of the one that's down below labeled The Primer Fields Part 1. And Eileen, I'm starting it right now.
Thank you.
Here we see the representation of a single photon of light. Scientists understand many of the properties of light, but light still holds some mysteries that perplex us. Thomas Young first demonstrated the wave nature of light in 1803 with his famed double-slit experiment, and ever since then the world's top minds have debated what the results of this experiment actually mean. Although Young's double-slit experiment is repeated many times every day, we are always left with the same perplexing question that goes to the core of quantum mechanics and even our very understanding of matter. Is light a particle or a wave? Experiments have revealed that light has the properties of both a particle and a wave, but how can it be both a particle and a wave? Then we find this to be the case for all electromagnetic radiation and all matter. This leaves the world's brightest minds still searching for answers to this basic question: is matter a particle or a wave? In this video series, you will be shown the solution to our dilemma. In fact, you are looking at that solution right now. The fields shown around the green photon are electromagnetic fields of opposite polarity, with the red field being of north magnetic orientation and the blue field being of south magnetic orientation. It will be proven that this is actually the way that magnetic fields are structured around all matter. This applies from the smallest particles we have discovered to the largest structures in space. If you were to measure these fields with a compass, their magnetic fields would appear identical to the magnetic fields of a bar magnet. This also means that when we measured the magnetic fields of matter with other methods in the lab, we also assumed that matter had a bar magnet type of magnetic field. But this assumption was a mistake. So until now, we have incorrectly assumed that electrons and other matter have a magnetic field shape as shown in this drawing. But we must realize that the fields around an electron, as well as around all other matter, are actually two opposing, bowl-shaped electromagnetic fields. Unless we properly understand this basic magnetic field structure, we will never be able to properly understand the fundamental forces of matter from the subatomic to the galactic. The red and blue bowls are identical in construction and magnetic strength. The only difference is the magnetic polarity of the bowls. The red bowls are north magnetic polarity and the blue bowls are south magnetic polarity. Notice the various ways in which these bowls will bond with each other. Here we see how the large and small bowls interact with each other magnetically. Notice how the small blue bowl is forced to flip over and then floats within the large red bowl. The small red bowl responds quite differently, as you can clearly see. Then we find the same rules in effect within the large blue bowl. Now you see how the orbital distance of the small bowl set is determined by the spacing between the large red and blue bowls. That a critical mistake was made by scientists when it was assumed that the magnetic fields emanating from matter such as atoms was due to a simple bar-shaped magnetic field within the atom. This assumption led to many ill-formed ideas as to the true forces at work from the subatomic level to the galactic level. Correct this one basic misunderstanding, and then many difficult problems in science become very clear and easy to understand. Structure of an atom, a star, or even a galaxy are shown in magenta. But we need to remember that even though the magnetic field lines measured around matter are of this shape, it is not due to a bar-shaped magnet along the axis of the matter being measured. There are in reality dual bowl-shaped magnetic fields around the nucleus that cause this measured shape of magnetic field lines. So now I'm going to show you magnetic ejection utilizing the CERN ball. So this one will shoot these magnets, ordinary magnets, about 25 to 30 feet across the room if I have a large room. I don't have that big a room we're working in right now. So I'm just going to show you what it'll do. So pulls it down here, And I'll just put it in through the bottom, through the hole in the bottom. A little tricky. It doesn't really want to go in there. It's kind of against it. But then you get it to where it's a balance point, where it doesn't take any energy. But once you push it past that balance point, knowing that all matter has a magnetic component to it, you can now see how these incredibly strong bowl-shaped magnetic fields in space could accelerate matter to nearly the speed of light without requiring external electricity, black holes, dark matter, or even dark energy. It is important to note that these bowl-shaped magnetic fields will not always be nice, simple, symmetrical structures. They can be warped, twisted, offset, or one field might even be larger than the other as shown here. But once you understand the basics of this new theory of matter formation due to bowl-shaped magnetic fields, you will be able to easily explain most all of the structures we find in space.
Seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just turned my sound down so I didn't blast everybody. Oh, you guys can hear me? Sorry.
All right.
Are we back?
So we are back. Primer fields, part 1. That link is in the description box below,
Now think
and I will bring you
about what
back.
you know about consciousness and how that fit.
Oh, actually, I didn't know you were talking at the very end. Think about what we know and about consciousness and how that fit is how you ended that.
drop that off. I thought I cut that off.
It's okay. But no, that's a very good point, and it segues into why we were showing that and how it relates to this whole power of 8.
That's a tiny, tiny, wee little bit of that video. It's a 50-minute, 55-minute video, and there's 3 parts. So I only cut out the portion that shows you how, according to David LaPointe's primer fields, you could call them anything, right? Everything from an atom to a human being to a clock, anything that contains matter is creating a toroidal field. It has a north positive polarization where he shows that bowl like on the top of our head, and then it has a south or a negative polarization, which is the bowl at our feet, and then the opposing forces of those 2 magnetic forces create, you don't need gravity. He shows balls coming in together but not touching. Did you see that part of the longer video? I cut that out of here because otherwise we'd be on all night long. It creates its own gravity so that you don't need black holes. You don't need dark matter to explain all this gravity for all the weight of what we do see. Everything creates its own energy field. What's really fascinating, and I'm not a scientist, so I don't know any more than any of you guys do, but I've been looking into toroidal fields like Dust in the Wind has been doing, and I know Bob has, and Dead GPK, because occasionally we all talk about this. The toroidal field, which was that pink image at the end that he showed all the different, angles of, and so did our guests, Gregory and Gail Hogue. They showed us a toroidal field in their show, is the only self-perpetuating energy system that we know of into infinity. Now think about that. There might be others that we just haven't discovered yet, of course, because we don't know everything. But a toroidal field where you have energy coming out of the top and being sucked down and in through the bottom, while energy is being put out through the bottom and being sucked in through the top, right? Creates an energy field that never ends. And that's where I start thinking about consciousness and this concept that the soul is infinite. The soul is immortal. It never ends. And here we have energy fields around everything that are also, at least the energy fields are infinite. That they're
and then the way those smaller bowls were being affected by the larger ones, and that really gets into. I'd been doing these biofield tuning sessions with Joyce, and she was explaining during the session how you ground with that toroidal field. The bottom comes out and grounds to the earth, while the top comes out and grounds to or connects to cosmic energy, and then you complete the circuit. So you've got this constant, infinite stream coming through the top, going through the field, and going out through the bottom, kind of like what you're saying, along with your regular toroidal field that you're already creating. And we with the Heart Maths Institute and the I had the Schumann resonance and how we're affected by the earth and all of that, how everything affects everything, and that your heart actually creates that toroidal field. It's like, exactly that chakra of it creates that all the time, and it's actually this invisible field that can affect people around you. So that's why we go into a room, and if people are in there fighting and arguing, you can feel that tension in the air, and then if you're strong enough, you can go in there and sort of transmute that into more of a positive energy. But everything's affecting everything, basically.
Everything's affecting everything, and that also explains the gravitational pulls of planets and suns. All putting out their own toroidal energy, which bounces off of each other to a level where it stabilizes, and now you're in a mutual relationship, a mutual position, without any gravity being involved. You don't need gravity. You just need everything to have its own toroidal field.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about these intentions that we do here is that we're all on the earth right now. So we're all grounded together. Just like if you've got different light bulbs in different rooms and the wiring all gets grounded the same way, we're like light bulbs all over the planet, and we're all grounded with the earth, and we're all pulling in cosmic energy, and we are all really connected in this moment when we join our power of intention all around the globe together, and that's why time doesn't even matter, because it's all
you're
still
outside
connected.
of time. So everybody, when you get a chance, if you haven't done it already, Go to the link and watch the 50-minute video of primer fields. Jane was mentioning she loves it when all the little steel balls come together and create shapes based on their individual toroidal fields. Yeah. And Jane's like, I'm not a scientist. And then Dustin was saying, it's funny, my wife and I were talking about toroidal fields the other day. So the big key word now that's hitting our collective consciousness for those who are awake seems to be the torus. It's not spelled like Taurus the bull. It's spelled differently. So the torus or the toroidal field of energy seems to say a lot about consciousness. You know,
and it's basically the donut shape, if you were to think of it.
Donut shape moving in and out at the same time, equally, you know, like this. And so the energy that comes in fuels the energy that goes out, and the energy that goes out fuels the energy that goes in. So there's no end of energy. It's a self-perpetuating system, which is fascinating. Somebody in there, I jumped into the chat real quick, was saying, boy, I'd like to see him take his, because he took one bowl and he magnetized it for positive polarity, and he took the other and he magnetized it for negative polarity. And they said, I'd like to see him mess around with those and create propulsion.
Well, he kind of did that when he stuck the thing through the bottom of it. You know, he only used one bowl, but
that one got Bob excited, right? Because that's like a supersonic weapon, isn't it? It's like you stick a steel ball through just half of the toroidal field. You've separated it, and it just like phew, sends it out like a rocket.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was amazing and scary. If the Department of Defense is working with,
they're probably already all over it.
They do, because if you looked at like the columns of energy, the plasma that we're starting to see in our sky that we saw in the video, and the plasma ball that looked like the sun. He's basically dealing with Tesla technology. Yeah. He's just talking about plasma. And what is plasma? It's electromagnetic, and it is in everything.
And you can really see how it's been sort of hidden in plain sight, because you've seen where they take those metal shavings and scatter them on the table and then put a bar magnet there, and you can see that shape that's created. It's only part of the picture.
It's part of the picture.
Yeah, you can see why we've been confused, and we think, oh, well, we'll just connect the ends rather than have it come back in and create. He
shows you that at one point in this video. He goes, see, this is what science thought. So to explain everything, we had to have black holes and dark matter. Now that we understand how the energy flows, we don't need black holes and we don't need dark matter anymore.
Yeah.
You know, everything that we see might be everything that there is. And there's nothing secret and hidden that we can't see that's creating a pressure to gravitationally support everything. You can just throw that out. You don't even need that concept anymore.
It is fascinating. I didn't watch. Did you watch part 2? The other?
Not yet. I'm going to. And here's the mystery. I put out the video, I think yesterday, maybe the day before. I put it out recently, and no, I think I did it yesterday. And I hadn't researched him. So I thought, I'm going to just research him. And I went to Wikipedia, Wikipedia. And nothing. There's nothing on David LaPointe, and there's nothing on the primer fields. So immediately I went, that must mean pay attention, because they removed Dolores Cannon as well. You know, the things that they don't want people messing with, that they're messing with, are not on Wikipedia, you know? So I went and researched David LaPointe, and I went to his channel, and in the first video, he talks about parts 3, 4, and 5. And 2. Well, he only uploaded 6 years ago 3 videos. Where are part 4 and where are part 5? He already said what was going to be in them. They're not on there, right? And I can't tell if he's dead or alive. I searched for an obituary on him. I can't find an obituary. I searched for recent writings from him, and I found, like, on a blog spot, he had commented to somebody on their comments like 3 or 4 years ago. So this guy's gone quiet, you know, and I don't know if it's because, you know, he might have passed away, or he might be alive and just maybe told to step back and not promote this stuff. But then wouldn't they have him remove his channel and remove these 3 videos that are up?
And he hasn't been putting stuff out since then.
No. No, so it's a mystery. I find it a mystery, and an interesting one at that. And you guys are going to love it. If you haven't seen his whole video, that's all we need is electromagnetism. It explains everything. And then if you look at it and watch his science and think about your consciousness and how your consciousness can change and shape matter, and how your consciousness, when you connect with other consciousness, other toroidal fields, can really change and shape things. It seems to be very relevant to what we're doing here, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
So I prepared a special meditation for us. We did it like 6 months ago. Do you remember, like the lady who does that tuning with you?
Mm-hmm.
We did a meditation a while back where we were running an cosmic energy in from God. And then we were running earth energy in at the same time, and we were letting them pass each other up. And the God energy was coming in through us and going into the earth, and the earth energy was coming in through us and going up.
Spiraling around our toroidal field, basically.
You just let it spiral as a toroidal field. It's like it can go up and rain down, and the energy coming in from the heavens through us can go into the earth and rain up in that shape.
It's amazing. Yeah, it is amazing that that whole biofield tuning thing is a whole topic in and of itself, because it's just the work she does is amazing with that clearing out.
On your show yet, or are you thinking of having her on during the week?
Yeah, I do want to have her on soon, and
because I just watched that one video that you sent me, or somebody, one of our in our community sent us. Remember, some lady was singing the tunes.
Oh,
do you remember that video? And
yeah, I won't remember her name.
She was like a
Jolene, or
did Ronnie send it to us?
I don't know.
Somebody did, and I think it might have been Ronnie who sent it about Jolene, about this lady on, what's that network called on YouTube? AAETV, Aware and Awake TV.
I'm totally drawing a blank, but yeah, I know
and
the
she just
channel.
Started singing tones at people. Do you remember, to tune them up?
Yeah. And who was it? It was Lori Lothian, maybe.
Yeah, that's who did it. It was Lori.
Because I think she actually had a session with her, didn't she? Yep. I think she might have actually had a session with her.
Mm-hmm. You got it. It was not you, Ronnie. Sorry, but I did guess your name properly before we went on the air, didn't I? So,
oh yeah, yeah. I was reading the chat, and she said, "Is that Ronnie?" And I'm like, "Yeah." How'd you know? That's funny.
So it was Lori Lothian. Thank you, who gave us that video. This is like the new medicine. I think when they say that our future medicine lies in sound and light, because we're made of sound and light. And when they start using sound and light to retune us and fix things that are just, a little bit broken, a little bit worn out, and then they just get a tune up.
Yeah. And when you think about everything being vibration or everything being sound, it really makes sense how our senses are all tuned to different parts of the sound. So, or the vibration. So our ears hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, but our visual spectrum that we can see is another range of sound. Technically, it's still vibrations. That's why we see different colors. Those are different.
But we don't hear it.
No, we don't hear it. We see it, and we feel the vibrations with our body.
And people see colors and hear colors. Who are they? Sense something?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're the ones who can actually hear what you're describing, those vibrations that are so high.
Or anybody can with acid, LSD. I think. You go into a bright orange colored, room with this wall, and it's like, it's like.
God, that brings up a whole nother topic, but that would be a great other show.
So I've heard, anyway.
Yeah. There's like a really hot topic in our community right now on YouTube, and it's that Department of Defense document that talks about the Monroe Institute, and basically they're rubber stamping what the Monroe Institute's been telling people in the metaphysical world for decades, and that they believe this is a holographic universe, and that consciousness is a wave within the hologram, and therefore consciousness can change the hologram, so rightly, people are going, holy moly, if the Department of Defense believes this, then it must be true. And they're just feeling vindicated, like their suspicions about the Mandela effect having to do with consciousness, not CERN, not D-Wave, not a time traveler, but having to do with our consciousness collectively
Yeah.
changing our material matrix. It's all in this document. And I did go and read it. And it is awesome. It's wonderful. It doesn't really go into string theory, though, and simulation theory and multiple worlds and multiple dimensions theory, because I guess in 1983, when this Department of Defense document was written, the Monroe Institute hadn't gotten that far, you know, because they're just one body of very, very metaphysical spirituality, if I put it that way.
Yeah.
But there's others. There's Lynne McTaggart, there's Fred Allen Wolfe, you know, there's many, many others who aren't tied to the Monroe Institute who have similar theories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's popping up everywhere. And it's really cool because it's like, if it comes from the government, then it must be true. So it's going to open a lot of eyes. It's going to make people feel more accepting of these possibilities than they would before if the government hadn't rubber stamped it. Like, these are our secrets. Don't tell anybody, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that this information has come out several times and people bring it up again. I think it's the first time I looked at the document because I downloaded it back in like October of 2018.
Did. Awesome.
And I'm like, and I remembered reading through it, and then it came out like it was just being released. And I'm like, this guy released in like 05. Why is this like?
And it was written in like 1984, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't released to the public until, or you know, it was a classified document until 2005, I believe. But it's been out since, you know, it's been out over a decade.
I know what it is. It's people who were not Mandela affected in 2005. And now they are. And now they're coming in contact with the document and they're going, now this makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it even says that at the beginning of the document. It takes some right brain or some intuitive understanding or consideration to really even understand the information. It's not just an analytical document. You can't just go in with a left brain attitude towards it. And before the Mandela effect, that's totally how I would have approached it from
I
a
guess
completely.
you're right. So that's the new, that's given it the new boost.
Yeah.
Because I never saw the document until I came in contact with it through SMQ AI. And then he kind of linked to somebody like, not Lift the Veil, which is that guy, remember, that does political stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Used to be a friend.
Nathan.
Yeah. No, it's not him, but it's something about
Lifting the Veil, which is the guy. Okay.
Yes. And they, of course, read the whole document in 4 hours on their channel, but they kept commenting on it. And their comments, nothing against their channel whatsoever, but their comments were very left brain fearful. They'd say, okay, this might be true, but don't test it out, because if you try it, there'll be astral entities waiting for you because you're not ready yet. Or they'd read it and go, okay, that's not true because you can only reach these alternate states interdimensionally through DMT. You have to take the drug. You can't get there through meditation, you know, or any other means. And I'm like, no, we know for sure that's not true. You do not have to take a drug to enter other dimensions, you know. And I think I just wrote something like, it's just like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. If you go into these states in a state of fear, chances are you're going to have a pretty scary experience while you're moving through these states. And if you know, you're meditating and you're grounding yourself and you've got your heart coherence protecting you and you're going in with love, chances are you're going to have a really good experience. It's all about what you bring in to your travels. That determines what you're going to get out of it.
That must be the channel that it's the husband and wife.
I think so. At least they live together.
Yeah, they're on TFR. Yeah. They're on TFR. I think they're on TFR, if I'm not mistaken.
They were great. I love them as a couple, and I was like, wow, they're reading it. But
that's when I heard it, and that was last year.
A lot of fear that was added to it. Like, okay, here's the information, guys, but don't try this at home. You're not ready. And I think most of us in this community, at least our group, we're ready for anything. You know, we don't have to wait for permission. We are ready to learn and explore through our own sense of gnosis, right? We trust ourselves.
Yeah. Plus, there's always that idea of, you know, with the energy is constantly changing, everything's so dynamic. It's sort of like, you know, if you order a cable, right? All the wires are hooked up, but they haven't turned your service on or whatever. And then all of a sudden they turn your service on, but you've never turned your TV on to test it. You're like, hey, when are you going to turn this on? You know, and it's like, if we're not checking it, if like turning the TV on to see if they've turned the cable on already, for instance, then we won't know. So how will we know if we sort of start getting this new line of energies, cosmic or whatever, that will activate us, but we're not trying anything.
You're not testing it out in
You're
your
not
own
testing
way.
it out, right?
And what if people said, well, don't turn it on until we give you the manual and tell you how to turn it on? You know,
Exactly.
again, that's that fear, that control, that fear, which, you know, we've broken out of that. We're beyond the fear.
We're fearless.
We're fearless. Now, may I say, for the people who joined us for the first time tonight from the Master Intention class, if you have a personal intention that's pressing, please put it in the live chat. We are full of loving, well-meaning people and healers and artists, and, you know, people will work on your intention if you have something pressing. And then what we do live every week is for the collective. It's like, I discussed that with Lynne today with the whole class about being specific, but also being general, so that it's something that can stand the test of time if somebody bumps into the video later, and it's for everybody. It's not just for one of us in the community.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So shall we do a meditation?
Yeah, let's do it. I was trying to find the...
There won't be a lot of quiet time tonight.
Okay, it's not lifting the veil. That's the guy that always connects all the ancient site or, you know, art and hieroglyphs with, in an interesting way, lifting the veil is. I can't think of the other channel name.
Videos.
Yeah, he's pretty cool though. He's actually tied in a lot of the, you know, like words having multiple meanings and.
Oh yeah, like Gary Light, like
yeah.
channel, and I watch Ancient Architects on YouTube and Robert Seffer.
Yeah.
Atlantea Gardens, more like that.
If somebody can drop that name, and if you know the couple we're talking about that does the radio podcast on TFR, and
something about the veil, and I thought it had lift in there. Unless there's
through the veil.
Through the veil.
Maybe it's through the veil. Let me check that
That'd
really
be a cool
quick.
name, because that's like through the looking glass, you know.
Yeah.
Through the veil.
So many cool names.
We're through the veil. We've gone through. We're on the other side now.
Totally.
We're comfortably on the other side, which is a complete state of discomfort of not knowing anything and loving it at the same time.
No, not through the veil.
Okay, well, if we find
we'll
it,
figure it out.
We'll
Oh, wait. Let's see. Beyond the veil.
Where'd that come from?
That's them. That's the couple. It's Beyond the Veil.
It?
Yeah, I see the couple there. Yeah, they're awesome. I haven't watched them in a while, and I bet I got unsubscribed. That happens a lot with channels like that.
Yeah, you do get unsubscribed from channels. But do yourself a favor and go read the document yourself and interpret it in your eyes, in your heart, and in your brain, and see what it means to you. You know, that's the main thing, I think.
Yeah, and they covered it back in October, because that's when I saw that I downloaded it into my my Google Drive was in October of 2018. So, and I know I got it from their link in their videos. So
okay.
I don't have that ready.
It's making the rounds again, guys. It's showing up on videos from people in our community and outside of our community. You know, so you will see it popping up here and there. I think some people call it the CIA, but I think it's a Department of Defense document, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Central Intelligence, but you know, they're all in bed together. We know that they share it.
For sure. All right. So, yeah, I'm ready. We can do this.
Okay. So next week, I'm going to try to give everybody a little more silence time to work on their intentions and try not to disappear while I've gone silent, which occasionally happens, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore because I've got that Ethernet cable. But not today, because tonight we're just running that cosmic energy from God into our toroidal field. And then at the same time, we're going to be running earth energy up through our core of the chakras and out. So you can picture that going all the way back up to heaven if you want, or you can just let it go above your head and spill down like a what? An umbrella, a shower, like the toroidal field.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, it's 5 hours long. This is the one. I found it. I'm going to drop this.
You gonna
I'll
put a
drop
link
this
in?
link so you guys can go watch it if you want. And if you don't want to watch it and you want to just go to this video and go to this the
You'll get the link
description,
through the video.
then you can get, yeah, you can actually download the PDF file.
And then look up SMQ space AI. He's doing some awesome stuff on Saturdays with these documents and the Mandela effect. So a real thinking place to go.
Yeah, that's why, because you get the document from CIA.gov. That's probably why.
Oh, see, I got it from SMQ AI, and it opened up the Department of Defense document. So,
And I think it says that on the document, but to download it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, we know they're all in it together.
Yeah, they're
Like
all in
we
it
are.
together.
We're all in it together.
Okay, there we go. All right,
Cool.
but yeah.
We got a lot of links tonight, don't we?
Yeah. Let's see. Let me put Beyond. I'll put Beyond the Veil down below if you want to. I did put it in the chat too, but if you guys are watching later, look under Beyond the Veil and click that link, and that will connect you.
Awesome. Okay, so I can't really see myself on the screen, but I'm going to hit my video off, and Shane, you can tell me if it worked. Did it work okay?
Yep.
Cool. So I'm going to have a quick drink of water. You guys can too, although you probably won't be using your voice tonight for this meditation, although sometimes we do that. And instead of doing an intention, a collective intention, we're going to do a meditation tonight, running earth energies and running what you would either term cosmic energy or energy from source, God, higher source, higher power energy. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of like, you know, move around a little bit and get comfortable. Make sure that you're either sitting or standing in a comfortable way, not driving a car or walking. And start by taking in a nice deep breath. Let your diaphragm expand and just hold it for a moment and exhale that out. And as you exhale out, go ahead and remove any tension in your body. And on the next deep breath in, hold it for a moment. And this time, you're going to exhale out any stress that you've experienced this past week. And finally, when you're ready, take a nice deep breath in, expand your tummy, hold it for a moment. And this time, you're going to exhale out any disappointments or resentments or fears that you have felt today. And now start breathing in clear, clean energy through your heart. And on the exhale, let that energy also, that breath, come out of your heart. Breathe in through your heart when you're ready at a pace that's comfortable for you, and exhale also through your heart center. And now we're just going to start to imagine a clear, white, crystal clean light of energy coming in our hearts on the inhale and going out of our hearts on the exhale. And as we continue to breathe in that clear, clean, healing, energizing light through our heart centers, we're just going to imagine a cord running from our root chakra, which is at the base of your spine, all the way down through the building that you're in, down further through the crust of the earth, down further still, further down into the center of the earth. And when that cord gets to the center of the earth, let it spread out in all directions like the roots of a tree. Now you are firmly grounded to earth while you relax and release and meditate. And now we're going to start thinking about being with somebody that we absolutely love, being with somebody that fills our hearts with joy. And it could be a person, or it could be an animal, it could be a group of people. And we're going to imagine doing something with the people or the person we love that we absolutely love doing with them. What does that look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Is it daytime? Is it dark? Are there many people with you? Is there only one person with you? Just feel the love from that experience. And now we're ready to start running energies into our systems. We're going to start with our grounding cord. It's already in the heart of the earth. And we're going to imagine a crystal clear green energy, like an emerald color, coming up from the center of the earth, right through your grounding cord, up to your root chakra, and then let it go up all of your chakra centers, your sacral chakra and your abdomen, your solar plexus chakra near your belly button. Let it go up your heart chakra, into your throat chakra, into your third eye or pineal gland chakra, and then into the chakra above your head. And from there, shoot that beautiful, clear, clean, healing earth energy out and up above you, and let it fall back down around you in all directions. And just let that earth energy continue to come up through your grounding cord and through all of your chakras as a steady stream of light. And when you're comfortable with that, and you've got that going, start to imagine a pure white light coming down above you, from as far above you as you can imagine. Let that light come from source energy. Let that light come from God, the highest energy. And let it come down through your head chakra, just above your head, through your pineal gland, through your throat chakra, to your heart chakra. Let it go to your solar plexus center and your sacral chakra in your abdomen, and to your root chakra at the base of your spine. And then let that pure white, cleansing, healing, energizing light shoot down your grounding cord, if you like, all the way to the center of the earth, where it comes back up at you in one giant toroidal field. Let that energy come back up in its natural pace. And now, if you can, try to imagine both energies running simultaneously. So you've got this beautiful healing green earth energy coming up from the core of the earth, right through you and shooting out into space, where it then falls down all around you. And you've got this pure, white, clear, clean, healing, energizing light coming down from as far as you can imagine through all your center chakra points and out into the center of the earth, where it starts to come back up again, like an upside down umbrella, creating that toroidal field of energy that is constantly feeding you, that is constantly energizing you, that is constantly healing you, and is constantly loving you. And just sit for a few moments imagining those energies working around you and through you, simultaneously connecting you to God or source energy and connecting you to this beautiful earth. And when you're ready, let those energy flows kind of stop on their own in a slow fashion. They just trickle down until they're finished. And now you feel completely energized and healed, comfortable, peaceful, and loved. And you can let your grounding cord go now back into the center of the earth where it disappears. And start to move around. You can move your shoulders and your neck a bit. You maybe need to move your legs or your feet, your hands, and come back.
Wow, got lots of chills on that one.
Oh, good. Am I back?
You were, and then you went away.
I went away again. How's that?
There we go.
I
You're
think
back.
I double-clicked it. I must have double-clicked it.
That's so funny because I've reached a point now where I see so much with my eyes closed that I'm not even always aware if, if somebody turned a light on in the room. So while you were doing the meditation, I was like, man, I saw this light, and I opened my eyes and I had a notification that had popped up on the screen and it made it bright for me, So, but I took it off really fast. But it's funny because I thought it was, I'm like, wow, am I seeing something?
Oh, interesting. Like I said, see the white light and boom, the white light came on. I just see complete darkness. I don't see the lights in the room at all. And then I start to see the light that we're focusing on and the color. Usually we run our own colors. We get to pick and choose. But tonight we were running earth energy, which is, very, very green. It can also be brown and gray and orange, and black, different colors. But most people, I think, associate the earth with green.
Yeah, I agree, Ronnie. She said that was very powerful. And it was like the moment you had the grounding cord go down and spread out, it was like I felt it go right up my spine. It was...
Immediately?
Oh, yeah, it was incredible. And then from then I just kept getting chills and
So
waves.
We're earth energy, don't we? We're always up in our heads running this energy, and we forget about the energy that's coming from the earth.
Totally.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
That's good. We did this one, like 6 months ago? Do you remember? We did a version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Deb from Butterfly Effect, she's taking a break from channels at the moment, and she's well and happy. Deb did it too. And somebody in our chat said, I received the same meditation. It's like all of us, we're starting to receive this message to do earth running energy through us and to do God running energy through us and to do them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's that toroidal field that, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I've been doing the whole wing makers thing where you just take a moment and just breathe it in real slowly and just be in the moment. And especially if you get triggered or something by something, I mean, it helps so much to just, before you respond even. I mean, because you can do that in a conversation. It'll look like you're really angry, I guess. But, somebody says something, you just take a moment, you take a deep breath, you're like, uh-oh, what's coming? But
and then,
it really, you can let it go and,
taking
feels
that
great.
pause. I think Eckhart Tolle talked about taking that pause before reacting and responding, and that one tiny little fraction of a moment of a pause can change everything.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It changes your response from a 3D one to a 5D one if you do it right,
Well, this was a big one for us tonight. We did an hour and a half on our own.
Yeah, it was good though.
Talked with Cynthia Sue Larson for at least many, many, many more hours. I know.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to have her back.
Our group just eats up science like it's candy.
I know. I've got to go back and watch that one probably 2 or 3 more times to really
take it all in.
Yeah, there's so much great information.
That when she comes back, we're going to have to really focus on. She mentioned a couple times there's philosophers and scientists who can show how the universe is a benevolent universe, and the God is a benevolent. We have a benevolent God, and the universe aids those who are working for the good of all. So she seems to know a lot about that we didn't even touch on. I mean, we kind of touched on everything.
Well, she's been at it for decades. I mean, she's a wealth of information. So
yep. So I'd love to hear from her. What are they finding that supports this feeling we have that we are loved and that we are one and that we're all one big family with not just humanity, but all life, animals, plants, minerals, you know, and alien life. If you believe there are aliens out there, they are as sovereign and sacred as you are. You know, they're a part of this big thing, this big happy thing called life.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times we'll elevate other beings and stuff like that, but we're really all equal. We're all equal parts. And that's sort of the way you can tell if it's a benevolent being or a malevolent being, is if they sort of talk down to you, then you know, hey, that's not a benevolent source. Because when you look at like the material with Ra, they said, no, we're like big brothers and sisters. We see ourselves as maybe having more information, but not any more powerful than you.
Not any better. Yeah.
Not any better. You know?
Yeah, no judgment and no hierarchy.
Right.
And it makes sense because it's a system. Life is a system. And like all systems, even if it's just your car, you can't like starve the carburetor and give more energy to the radiator because the whole system's going to break down. So humanity has to learn that if we give to the whole system and to everybody, then the whole system benefits from it. And if we starve and take from other parts of the system, it's not those parts that are going to break down. It's the whole system's going to collapse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have a system where our actions actually hurt the whole, you know, just the money system and trying to get ahead. And
I think we should read that book that Cynthia wrote, her last book, or what was it called? Higher Energy Money, Higher Frequency Money. Because a lot in our community don't feel comfortable with money. They see money as like for evil and greed, you know, and so they tend to even struggle for money because they see it as like, you know, oh, good people don't want money, you know. So higher frequency money, I think that would be a good book to read, to actually see how that energy can be used equally for good.
And, you know, and then another step past that I've discovered is, because I used to view things like that too, but then I got to the point where you just become content with what you have, you know. So it's not so much that it's evil, you just don't put much energy into it because you're content. You're like, you know, I'm taken care of right now. Things are fine. And you just rather put your energy in other places. But at the same time, you want it, the more you have, the more you can do. And if you're a light worker, you know, you're going to do something good with that money anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
it's not going to be turned towards greed.
Yeah.
But yeah, those who no longer seek money are the ones who usually get it anyway, because they've let go of all of the things that repel money, the fear, you know, oh, I need more, I don't have enough. You know, once you let go of all that, like Cynthia was talking, and you just let it flow to you without expectation and without checking it, right?
Yeah.
Then you're letting the flow of the universe come to you, and you might actually wind up with more that way by being in flow. Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why I wanted to, because she had that term for not watching it or whatever.
The Zeno effect.
Zeno effect. Okay. I was trying to remember that last night on the show.
When you check it, you don't allow it to change.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. That was the best part.
That's
I
powerful.
listened to it again today. That was powerful.
And that really explained a lot with the Mandela effect for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
It did. And it explained a lot about all these manifesting people saying, let it go. Give it to God. Let it go. Don't worry about it. And now we know why.
And it's funny because early on that I said that when talking about the Mandela effect, I realized I'm like, my most powerful Mandela effects are the things that I was really closely related to, like the thinker statue as a child. And then I stopped. I didn't have anything to do with it. Or an old movie like The Golden Child. I watched it all these times as a kid. I had it on VHS tape, and I watched it over and over again, probably dozens of times, because it was like the only Eddie Murphy movie my parents didn't frown on me watching, you know, because he was pretty much foul.
He was always swearing.
Right. So I watched it a ton, but then had nothing to do with it. The Bible, I had gone through it like dozens and dozens of times, and then moved on to other things and hadn't touched it in a decade. So those were my strongest Mandela effects, because I got really familiar with them and I knew them very well, very
and then
intimately.
you looked away.
Then I looked
Allowed
away.
them to change.
They changed, and then I could recognize the change had happened because it had, you know. And so when she mentioned that Xeno thing, I mean, a light bulb really went off on
Me
so
too.
many.
Because I'm big into manifestation, and some manifestations work for me and some don't. But the ones that don't work, I'm checking them all the time. You know, the ones I really, really want. So I'm putting some negative need into them instead of just letting them take their course.
Yeah. And like when you look at Vanessa VA, you know, she's in the medical field and, you know, Sherry's in the medical field. They can see these things happening, but they're not doing like heart surgeries every day.
Right.
So they're not, the Xeno effect isn't keeping them from noticing the heart's moved.
It's not.
Right. So it's
or
interesting.
Dustin, who takes x-rays. That's interesting. We should ask Dustin what body changes he's experienced through the Mandela effect, because he's looking at the x-rays that he's taking.
Yeah, so he might not notice the bone ones or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
We'll have to ask
notice the floating rib that disappeared, or the kidneys moving up into the rib cage, right? Instead of being below.
Very interesting. So she like really connected so many dots for me. And
me too. And I listened to it again. I listened to the whole thing today, and I got even more out of it. And I'll listen to it again.
Definitely.
You know? Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
And then we'll have more questions for her when she comes back.
Yeah, like definitely want to ask her about that benevolent universe. She said there's evidence that this universe is a benevolent one, that it rewards, you know, the goodness for all. I'm like,
and you know, even the Law of One talked about that. It was like the elite that's running the world right now, what they have working against them is that their service to self. So they've got disharmony within their group even. So if we could unite around this whole theme of service to others, just by default, we would be more powerful.
And by default, it would help them, because as they try to cling to matter and material and cut it off from other people is their own demise. They're bringing themselves down by the weight of their clinging and their weight of their greed. And if they can release that and say, well, actually, let's share it with all. Let's make everybody healthy and everybody wealthy and everybody comfortable. That would lift them up, and they would have less need to cling, right?
Definitely.
So it's that Taurus again. It's the toroidal field, that if you're greedy and needy and clinging, you create the energy that requires more clinging and more greed. And if you're giving and loving and sharing, you create the energy through your toroidal field that is more giving and more loving and more sharing. It's kind of a self-perpetuating thing.
Yeah. And from the higher perspective, you can see how even though they're negative, they help create this polarity, which creates a movement. So, I mean, you don't even want to frown on them, because at least we get to be on the positive side.
Yeah, they create something for us to push against, something for us to test our mettle, and something for us to learn from. Exactly. Yeah. So in a way, their service to self is a service to others.
Exactly.
So we're really getting into the Buddha, you know, all things are good thing.
Yeah, and rising above and watching the whole play out, and just sort of understand this is part of the classroom we're in, so to speak, you know.
But I always feel like it's not very good for the people in service to self. The really, really, really greedy humans are really the ones that I feel the most sorry for. And I know that people would rather be angry at them because of the harm they perpetuate to others, but think about what they're lacking and what they're missing out on. You know,
but from a 3D standpoint, you look at their houses, their cars, all the money they have, and it's easy to become jealous because from a 3D standpoint, they have all these material items, but that's
then
just
they tend to spiral into drugs, other abuses, suicide. You know, at what point do you have enough material possessions to fill a spiritual hole? You can't. There's no material thing that can fill a spiritual need. It just doesn't exist, which is why the person who sits back and says, I have enough, I'm enjoying my life, I'm going to spend more time with my family and walking on the beach and, you know, doing things, might be the healthier, wealthier human, which is what Jesus said. He said the same thing.
Very much so.
Very much so.
Awesome. Well, I guess we can wrap this one up.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. It was powerful, and we will be back again next week.
Yep.
It's just us again, right?
It's just us again.
Which is a good thing. I'm just saying.
That's a good thing. But I kind of was reaching out to somebody. Meditation Mike. I don't know. I'm trying to connect with him. I think I tried on his Facebook or something. He has this energy, and he's probably the happiest person on YouTube that I've ever heard. And it would be awesome to talk to him about his manifesting style and experiences, because he's all about manifesting.
Awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll get a hold of him, and he can come on soon and kind of share his personal manifesting.
Awesome.
Secrets.
Yeah, because things are speeding up. We're manifesting quicker now. Yep. And it's an exciting time to be alive.
And yes, it is. And next week we will intend for the collective. We will do a power of 8 intention for all of us. This week was a little bit about getting that energy back and running that energy and feeling that energy that we have available to us.
But I loved it. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see. Metaphysical Mike, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody put that in the chat.
There we go.
We're all connected. We're figuring it out together.
Everybody go on his videos and say, Shane and Eileen from the Power of 8 at 8 are trying to have you on. That would be really funny. And see if he connects with you and says, hey, I'm here. I'm available.
Yeah, it's worked before. So.
Yeah.
Well, lots of love to you guys in the chat. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, Eileen.
Much love, everybody.
Have a good one, you guys. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.